Hi, I'm Peter. This is the Peter on Health channel. This video is called How I Got Younger. Last week I did a video called Hey, I Got Younger, but last week's video was about why I think I got younger. And in last week's video, I went through this chart. This is my chronological age from 43 to 61. And this is allegedly, my biological age. Just hugging the 40 line. And so in last week's video, I explained, that I got this idea, or at least I believe, that I'm biologically 43 from this paper, 2018 paper. And I went through the paper, and from the paper, this spreadsheet arose. And by the way, I figured out why I couldn't change this last week. So look here. So 2024, it says I'm biologically 43 in a little bit. And my glucose was 90, right? 43. And then it was 90 because I got my blood test at 9 a.m., I said. And if I went at 7 a.m., it would have been 85. If I went at 7, I'd have been 42. 42 and, well, closer to 43. But the point is, next time I'm going at 7 a.m., man, I want my 42. But so here's the thing, like, why did I drop? And the bigger why is why this drop. This is an extraordinary drop from 46 down to 40. That's a 6-year drop in biological age. Why did that happen? And there's a bit of a clue in my weight graph. So I showed this last week, my weight graph since 2008 till today, right? Weigh what I did as a senior in high school. But look at this drop here, right around 2020, the beginning dark days of COVID land. I weighed 200 pounds at the beginning, and 1 year later, I weighed 168. I dropped 32 pounds. 32 pounds in 1 year. What did I do? Well, like everybody at YouTube, I spent too much time on YouTube and, at home, locked in, because government told us we had to be. And I watched, among other things, this clip.
And you have this meal at 6 p.m. and you fast for 24 hours until you eat again at 6 p.m. If you have this one meal a day, why is it better to do that than to have, say, smaller meals of like 500 calories multiple times per day, little snacks? Well, because going back 6 million years back, in the trees and then on this earth, our bodies were designed, or evolved to respond to adversity. And we've removed that from our lives because it feels good. But we need adversity to be resilient and to fight disease. So what I'm saying is that period of hunger, and it's not even hunger these days, I don't even feel it. I feel great if I don't eat. And it takes a few weeks, so anyone wants to start, give it some time, give it a couple of weeks. But what's happening in the body is you're turning on these adversity hormesis response genes. We call them longevity genes. And then
So it was an interesting interview. I watched the whole thing. I mean, this is back when Rogan was on YouTube, and 2 hours or whatever it was. I mean, these are little clips he puts in now. But that little clip there, Sinclair is saying, he's a researcher. He's a longevity researcher, and he's saying it's good to feel hunger, good to be under some kind of external stress, not mental stress, but external stress that you have to fight off, and hunger's one of them. And I thought, that sounds interesting. As a former athlete, and yeah, you train hard and you get better, right? And So it's what I learned early as a youth. Is a training and it's suffering. To train and pushing your heart, and that's how you get better. That's how you get to be a better athlete. So anyway, that played right into my thinking, and so I did that. I started fasting. I started doing what's called a 4:20 schedule, meaning a 4-hour window, usually 10 a.m. I would start eating breakfast. And before 2 p.m., I try to sneak in a bit of a lunch. And that's the 4-hour window in which I would take in food. And then for the 20 hours around that, from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m. the next morning, I wouldn't eat anything, nothing, just drink water, take in no calories. And here's one interesting thing is I started that. I think I was 57, and I was curious, see what would happen. And here's what happened: nothing. Like I didn't have any suffering, no hunger, no pangs of hunger in the evening or what, like nothing. It was like my body was saying to me, "What have you been waiting so long for, dude? I've been waiting for you to do this, right?" So I don't think if I'd have done this back when my metabolism was raging in my 20s, it would have been at all easy to do that. I'm an old man whose metabolism is slowed down, and now I'm eating consistent with that old man. Another thing Sinclair said was um, he doesn't even feel hungry. So it's good to feel hunger. He didn't feel hunger, like, and he's fasting. I'll tell you something. Today is Sunday morning. The last time I ate was Friday afternoon. I didn't eat anything yesterday, nothing at all, just drank water. And this morning, basically, I'm on a multi day fast. Yesterday was the first day, today is the second day. And for those of you who've ever tried fasting, let me tell you, the second day is a magical feeling. It's You feel liberated of food. You feel a clear mind, clear body, energetic. I mean, it's an incredible feeling. But I want to also pump the brakes on um, fasting before I get into like the magic of fasting for what I think I have. So first thing I want to say is, here's a YouTube video of some guy I never met talking to another guy I never met, and they're talking about some health protocol, like not eating. And I didn't go to a doctor, I didn't go anywhere else. I just heard these guys talking, and I thought, that sounds interesting. Let me try it. Well, so is that nuts, to get health ideas from people you never met on YouTube? Yeah, probably. And in a little ways, although it's also pretty remarkable because before the internet, like, how would you learn shit like that? I mean, if you weren't being taught it by your school or by your doctors or whoever, right? So I'm just saying the internet's pretty interesting. You can learn some stuff you wouldn't otherwise. And the second thing I'll say is when it comes to health, we're our own experiment. We don't need a study done with 1 million people to tell us what works for us, right? Now, there is some risk in taking certain things that might have an adverse effect, but fasting is really freaking easy. Just don't eat and see what happens. Now, I will say I was hiking with two women my age, and like this was about a month ago, and one of the women said she tried fasting and then had felt like heart palpitations and arterial fibrillation, whatever it was, right? And she's like, I got to go back to eat. So I don't know, maybe fasting's not really good for everyone. Maybe it's a male thing, not a female thing. Maybe it's an old person, not a young person thing. Because I mean, there's young people have eating disorders, right? Like where they're, you know, like that drop in weight I showed you of 32 pounds, like some people are like, really, that's what they care about. I didn't care. I did not care uh, about losing weight. That wasn't my purpose. I had a different purpose. And the purpose was, what Sinclair said, this resilience and disease fighting, right? And so that I'm gonna end the video with. But before I do, let me just show you. I took a picture of my breakfast on Friday, right? And so this is the last time I ate. I'm on a multi-day fast, and like Rogan said, you take in a one huge meal, and you fast the rest of the day. And so, what am I eating here? I'm eating some chicken, some steamed broccoli and beets, some olives, feta cheese, and a carrot I pulled up from our garden, sourdough starter, uh, fried in a pan with salt, and I think there might be this peanut butter, almond butter. And then this is a bowl of fruit, nuts, and honey. And um, that's my meal. It took me, 45 minutes to eat. And this is a little pot of coffee grounds, which ward off the bugs. This is my jar of water that I put in a bit of salt. And I learned over fasting that I need to have salt in my water because otherwise I cramp at night. Because during the day of not eating, like you're losing electrolytes and whatnot. I mean, that's what I've read. And anyway, just as soon as I added a little bit of salt, I stopped cramping. Anyway, that's the photo of my breakfast, and that's proof that I finished it. Once I finish a plate, I put it out there for any bugs that want to like come and sniff around there, but I don't want them. And that's my reading I do. Anyway, that's an example of my eating and kind of my because I will say now, like I went from this 4 hour window, and then what I found I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. I found in a couple years in, that afternoon eating was like I was forcing myself to eat. It was like I didn't feel like eating. I wasn't hungry. I'm starving for the breakfast. I'm like, oh, good, yeah, yum. Let me eat that. But the afternoon wasn't, so why don't I just eat a bigger breakfast, basically? So I'm OMAD now, one meal a day, and whatever. It's silly to have words for these things. It's just that's what I do. I have my eating period, and the rest of the day is not. But let's get into now the real why I did it. This is a word I didn't even know before I started fasting. It's autophagy. It's a Greek word for self-devouring or self-eating. It's a natural conserved degradation. It removes unnecessary dysfunctional components, blah, 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 allows order, recycling. Basically, it's the recycling, and word is against starvation, right? You know, they, I'll show you something kind of interesting in here, but the whole point of it is like, literally, it's like, we live in a house here, and the garbage comes on Tuesday, and on Sundays what I do is we have three bins. We have a green bin, a recycling bin, and a garbage bin. And I go and I fill those bins from the house. I take all the recycling garbage, and then from the land I get some green cuttings and put them in those bins. And then I take the bins and I take them out to the curb. And the trucks come on Tuesday. Why do I say that? That's exactly what autophagy is. The cell gathers old bacteria, broken organelles, like whatever, and shoves them out. And the autophagy truck comes by and says, "Thanks, I'll turn that into glucose." And so that's and so as an old person, what is aging, right? Aging is your cellular divisions start getting wonky. There's broken ass cells all around, and like it's called senescence, and immune senescence and this senescence, and it's just like, yeah, you're just withering, and you're like, you're getting old. And so I knew that, and I don't feel too much of that, but like I'm feeling some of it. I'm no spring chicken. And so that's why it appealed to me, the thought of autophagy. But you know what's interesting about this? As I was looking at this page yesterday, I looked for the word fasting, and it's nowhere in here. Nowhere in here. The closest they come to it is the word starvation, right? I showed you. So then, with Wikipedia, which is so filled with propaganda on controversial topics. Like, I mean, if you go to anything like COVID land or Ukraine or any of these topics where there's like massive propaganda, and then there's the quote unquote conspiracy theorists, right? And then Wikipedia is on the side of the propaganda. I thought, but for scientific topics, Wikipedia is usually really good. But I didn't see fasting in autophagy. So I look at the history here, and I see, if you search for fasting, you see this guy, added, updated article with new evidence based on, autophagy and fasting. And then this guy, Zephyr, basically he deleted that and said speculative only. Evidence, is too preliminary. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, he's saying whatever Sinclair is saying, he's talking out of his ass, and it doesn't, it's too preliminary. And so then I thought, oh, let me see who this guy is. And so this you can do with Wikipedia, and I see, oh, he's been on for 20 years, and he's pharmacology and COVID, and and I couldn't find more, but like my point is, this is suspicion, where you got starvation but not fasting. Anyway, so do I know that I was in, right now, like, do I know that I'm in, off again, like, do I know I am? And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's other things that your body does when you haven't eaten for, you can get in ketosis, like where your body starts like eating the fat and turn it into, uh, ketosis. So I'm just saying that that's another, system that the body does when, you're not eating. So it's pretty amazing, like what the body is doing. And I will say, for me, one of the most uh, mind-blowing things about fasting, for these last 5 years, is this. And you're like, what the hell is that? Well, like I said, I wear, last week, I wear a Fitbit, and every morning I look at this. These are health metrics. And so what is it? Breathing rate, heart rate variable, skin temperature, oxygen saturation, and resting heart. And what's important here isn't the number, it's the blue checks. And what do the blue checks means? It means nothing to see here, move on. What Fitbit was trying to do, and I think it's a good thing that they're doing, is show you if you have any early signs of being sick, right? Because if let's say I got COVID, like my wife this morning said, oh, my her mother was somewhere, like, and they had COVID, and then she might have COVID, and so the grandmom can't come to our place, and whatever. So, um, um, there you go with, COVID. And so the idea is, let's say she came in the house and we all got COVID. Well, what Fitbit is saying is, well, maybe your breathing rate's going to go up, or your heart rate variability is going to change, or your skin temperature is going to change, or your oxygenation, is going to change, or your heart is going to, the resting, high, basically it's saying these are like early signs of you that you could be sick, like because people were saying with COVID you could have it but not be, symptoms, right? But something's going on because your immune system is fighting it, and if it is, then these numbers might change. My point about these numbers is they haven't changed for 5 years. It's the most boring thing to look at every morning. Another way to say it is I haven't been sick since 2019. I'm in the fifth year of no sickness, whatever. I'm talking about no plugged nose, no scratching, throat, no coughing, nothing, nothing. And then people say, when I tell them that, like, they say, "Oh, you're just healthy." No, like I have a memory of living in the world for 60 years, and yeah, sure, I was healthier. I didn't get sick every year, but I get sick every couple years. Maybe the longest time I wasn't sick was 2 years, maybe. I don't know, like nothing at all, like not even a plugged nose, and maybe 3 years. I don't know, but all I know is, but in the third year of like no sickness, I mean, I went, holy crap, what's this? Third winter, and I'm not sick. I stopped even taking vitamin D in the winter time. Like I learned 20 years ago, hey, take vitamin D in the wintertime and you'll avoid sickness. Well, after 3 years of no being sick, I said, maybe I don't need vitamin D. Like I like doing these self experiments. So the last 2 winters, I didn't take any vitamin D and I still didn't get sick. And then friends say, oh, well, you're a consultant, you work at a home and you're not really social. And, I've flown to Europe and I went to the Warrior Parade and, blah, 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 crowded trains. Yeah, I've been in tight social spaces. And the other thing, too, is in our house, my wife gets sick. She had been, like, over these 5 years, she's been sick for 20 times. I don't know, like, how many times, right? She's almost, you know, just somebody comes in. We have a niece called Molly, and we call her Typhoid Molly. Like, she basically comes in the house, and my wife gets sick, but I don't get sick. So, yeah, I can't say I've been in autophagy, like from the fasting, and I can't say that the autophagy is like killing off every bacteria and virus that comes into me, but I wouldn't be surprised. The other thing I read, I'll close the video with this, and this I think is really, really cool. Metabolic flexibility is the capacity to alter your metabolism in response to, well, now they're saying exercise or available food. This is just poorly written. The idea here is, last week I said, okay, well, what if we're a car? And I said that, gas car was more easy to describe, the metabolic system, because like those nine metrics in the spreadsheet cover different aspects of our body. Like in the car, it could be the spark plug, the oil filter, the air filter, the fuel, the pistons, whatever. Um, so the gas car was like a little more easy to describe. But this metabolic flexibility, we're way more interesting than a car. Because what this is saying, we can be like a gas car, and then an electric car, and then um, what's the natural gas, like car, like those ones, right? We can work on any fuel. And so you metabolic, saying, okay, well, like on Friday and Friday morning, like I said, where's that picture of my breakfast? There's my breakfast. That's the one that we all know. Eat food, you get fuel, you get glucose, it feeds your body, does all the things you need to do. The next stage is, I guess, there's glycogen in the liver. So some of that food that I ate that morning got stored in my glycogen because my body didn't need all the glucose, so it put some in the glycogen and maybe stored some in fat. I don't know. But in the liver, glycogen, and then the fat, right? Get some of the energy gets stored. And then what happens over the next few hours as your body digests the food we ate, right? Then the body then says, okay, liver, give me some of that glycogen, comes out there. And if you're eating good food like that, it should last 4 hours before you get hungry. Again, right? You're not just hungry right up, hour after you ate. And but what happens longer? So that was Friday morning, Friday midday. By Saturday, yesterday, now it's 24 hours later. How is the body getting energy? Well, then there's ketosis. That's the body taking the fat where it stored it earlier and chewing up the fat and generating ketones that the brain can use and can be used as fuel. And sometime around ketosis, and we don't know this exactly when it happens for different people, there's autophagy. And autophagy is, like I said, the garbage collector that goes around the body, cleaning up all the debris and turning it into glucose, recycling it into glucose. And before I close this video, I'm just about done here. I'm just going to say one more thing that my jaw dropped. And it was the last time I did a 5-day fast, which is what I'm planning on doing now. And I'll just say, I'm on day 2. I'm not thinking about food. But if I start thinking about food, like where I'm just out, thinking about my day, but like, boom, food pops into my head, food pops into my head, food. I will say, screw the fast, I'm eating. That's my body telling me I got to eat. But if it doesn't, I'll just, do my plan. 5-day fast before the summer solstice. So I'm not an eating disorder person. I'm a very in tune person. And I'm not hungry here on day 2 that I'm doing this video. So, the most amazing thing I saw last time I did a 5-day fast, I was wearing a continuous glucose monitor. Again, not because I'm diabetic, I just like the data. And I was doing a 5-day fast. So I watched my glucose go from 80s to 70s and then hanging on to 60, by the end of the 5th day. And on the morning of the 6th day, I was going to eat that day. I did a heavy leg, training, resistant on our tonal, right? So it's like, resisting, weightlifting, right? And what was amazing was my glucose went from 60, I haven't eaten for 5 days. It jumped from 60 to 120. Not eating anything, just working out. Isn't that amazing? The body can do that? That had to be autophagy, and it was just, you know, going, give me some freaking whatever I need. I need this glucose. This guy is fighting a lion, So I just, this is so amazing. I'm 60 and I discovered how to never get sick again. I don't know. I mean, that's maybe crazy, but listen, stay healthy, my friends. We'll talk next week.